Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us. It's Chris F. Walker here with the Christian Influencer Convention, and I'm joined today by two of the most adorable people I've ever met, and they're just this couple that is a powerhouse, and they're climbing the ladders now about influence and being able to share messages. Sophia and Taylor, thank you guys so much for joining us here today. I know that on the 26th of July, we're going to have the big event. You guys are going to be panelists. But a lot of times people, when they jump right into questions, they don't get to hear the story. And that's what I wanted to try and give everyone the opportunity to hear right now is just kind of how did you guys become who you are and where'd you get your start and all that stuff. So we're here to kind of learn about all that. So why don't we start off with you guys really quick. Just tell me kind of where you're from, how you guys met, and then kind of how you started creating content together.
Yeah. So we're from Georgia. We both are where we grew up. We grew up 10 minutes away from each other. So not too far away. I was homeschooled basically my whole life and he went to school. So we ended up meeting though through mutual friends during our high school years. We met one time and then we started dating
the next day.
I was going to say it may have been the next day. And then we dated for about, 3-ish years. 3.5 years. And then we recently got married and now we're pregnant and expecting a little baby.
Congrats.
Thank you. So that's how we met. And then, back in, when was it?
June 24th.
June 24th.
Who's counting, right?
Of last year. That is kind of when we got our start with social media and everything. And the way it kind of started is I've always kind of had the dream to do social media. I always thought it'd be a cool job, just fun, cool way to share things. Especially I wanted to have lots of kids and be a stay-at-home mom. So I was like, it'd be a perfect little side hustle or something like that. And so he's just a goofball. If anyone... He's just so funny. And so I just started filming him one day and started posting him to TikTok. And the first video, everyone loved it. Second video, everyone loved it. And from then on out, everyone just loved him. So I was always filming him and
everyone loves you.
But that's how we got our start. And you could share some of what you think.
Yeah, she pretty much nailed it. But yeah, she just started posting videos and I had no idea even barely how to work an iPhone. So social media, needless to say, was not my thing. And then it soon became my thing really quickly. So we're just thankful that the Lord has blessed us with the platform, and walking into it, we kind of knew we wanted to incorporate the Lord in our social media because after all, he's the one that blessed us with it. So
that's amazing. It's beautiful. Which actually that's a great kind of segue then is you guys have been you're right in the you want to talk about Bible Belt heartland. Georgia doesn't get any more centralized than that. There's probably more churches on every corner than they do have grocery stores. Okay, so you guys grew up in that area. So was faith something that was always kind of a big deal for you? Or how did it kind of, especially when you're raising as young ones through the church, it's very common to see people understand a lot of the stuff that they're learning. But as far as a personal relationship and understanding what that means and turning it into something that's viable and realistic for actual application, that's a different beast. So when would you guys say, how was your faith walk? How did you guys come to be where you're now, people who share the gospel?
Yeah, so for me, ever since I was a little girl, I can't remember a time that I didn't know who Jesus was and that I didn't feel like I had a super close relationship with Jesus. Obviously, as I got older, I began to understand things a little bit better. Mm-hmm. But ever since, I really don't remember a time when I didn't know who Jesus was. It's mainly, my parents, they taught me everything I know and raised me that way. If it weren't for them, I honestly don't know where I'd be or how long it would have taken me to figure all of that out. But thankfully, they helped me learn from a very young age. And throughout the years, I've just steadily been able to grow my faith stronger.
Yeah. And then for me, I had a similar situation. I was raised in the church. My parents are Christians. but for a while, Jesus just kind of became this name that didn't really have a relationship. I didn't have a relationship with Jesus. Like there was, I knew I should believe in Jesus. I had heard of the gospel and stuff like that. I had heard all of it, and I just never really made the connection because I didn't experience a whole lot of things to point me, I guess, towards Jesus, like, you know, hardships or things like that until a little later in life. And then I really discovered my high school, toward the end of high school and going into college, that I was just missing something, there was a piece of me just that nothing in the world could fulfill, no worldly desires could fulfill, and I just didn't understand what it was. And I realized that maybe I had just been leaning on my parents' faith rather than having my own faith. And so that's when my faith really became real, was walking into college and discovering my own identity in Christ and discovering that Christ is my foundation rather than kind of depending on someone else's faith, and just gaining my own understanding. So.
Oh, that's awesome. It's beautiful. So, I mean, almost, I hate to kind of almost stereotype it, but you guys are like the picture perfect, like, this is how it's supposed to work. Like, kudos to your parents. You know, they really did a good job of pouring into you guys and trying to share not only their own faith, but then trying to, you know, encourage you to make it your own. And that's beautiful. Very cool. So, okay, so let's talk about then, since you guys are still you're younger in the scale as far as how long you've been married and everything else. How has your faith kind of played out with your marriage, as you guys are trying to learn how to grow together? Because, you know, I'm well into my 40s now, and my wife and I, we've been together for, you know, years, and I got to tell you, we still struggle sometimes with how am I going to actually put faith into what we're trying to build together, because granted, everyone has the same truth, but we don't all live it out the same way. And that can create kind of, sometimes there's some butting of heads there. So how have you guys kind of seen your faith play out with your marriage?
Yeah, walking into marriage, we both made sure and assured that ourselves and each other were solely focused on Christ and had Christ at the forefront of our vision. So we both understand that Christ and the church is a perfect picture of marriage. That is the picture of marriage, that Christ laid down his life for the church. And so we're to do the same in marriage. And so we walked into marriage with a sacrificial type of mind, that especially on my side, that I'm willing to lay down my life for Sophia in any circumstance, anything that she needs, and that we're always going to make it work. And you know, I guess you would say probably a very similar thing,
yeah.
Huh? And so we just kind of made sure that was our intentions and everything walking into marriage. And so we haven't experienced anything that's like, you know, wavering away from Christ or anything like that, because before we got married, we solely made sure that was the priority.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And then as you guys you said you're pregnant now, so what kind of thought processes are you putting into, okay, we're going to introduce a new human being into the mix here? And you guys have parents that kind of set the stage. You guys have examples to go from. But is there anything that, as you guys are getting ready to step into this new stage of parenthood, that's going to focus more on, like, how are we going to live out our faith with the child? You know, is it just going to be routine and put him to church and let God do what he does? Or do you guys have something, routines around the house you're going to try and incorporate in? Or maybe there's something from your parents that you guys had as you were growing up that is something like, that was worthwhile, I'm going to continue that practice.
Yeah, no, that's some things that we have definitely discussed. And like right now, I pray with the baby every single night, even though the baby is still
it's beautiful.
Coming.
We haven't missed a night. He reads a little bit of the Bible and he prays.
So just assuring that we raise our child and, you know, to point towards Christ. Like, you know, our prayer every single night is that the Lord would guide our footsteps to lead our baby to Christ. And that when, you know, our baby looks at us, that they see a picture of Christ in our marriage, and the way I speak to her, she speaks to me, and vice versa. So just it's almost a lot more responsibility in a sense, because now it's okay. It's not just, Soph and I as one, but the child is going to be looking at us, for guidance, and we're to point toward the Lord. And so there's,
and just knowing like how much impact my parents had on me and my faith, it's a huge role. And so,
yeah. And I feel like the Lord has provided me and Soph with similar but different circumstances to be able to speak wisdom into the child, to point towards God.
That's beautiful. That's awesome. Okay, so now I do want to. You guys have alluded to your parents a couple times, so let's go ahead and give them a kind of a big shout out here. Is that your parents obviously played a huge role in your guys, not only your own faith, but then in the examples you guys have had with each other and with now stepping into parenthood. So, what about your parents' faith? Has something that you've seen it, it's just been like, man, that's something I need to emulate, something to copy and grow up and be like, they've got that one down. Let's figure out how I'm going to incorporate that in my life. Do you guys have any examples of where your parents just kind of stepped out over everything?
I would say just trust in the Lord, just having faith that the Lord will provide in every circumstance. No matter what's going on around you, just knowing that the Lord will provide. He says He provides for the sparrows. He clothes the animals and everything. So that it's just this sense of that the Lord will provide. So I'd say just hearing that over and over when I was growing up really stuck with me.
Yeah, my dad's like, I always say he's like he's one of the wisest people I know. I mean, he read the whole Bible in like less than a month, and then he's done it like how many times? He just knows so much, and like I just know I want to do that. Like I just want to be able to study the Bible so much to where like any question like my kid may have or something, I can answer it, or just anyone in general, like someone who may not be a believer or something like that. So he's just encouraged me to want to do that and just know more almost.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and in the book of Peter, it tells us that when people come with questions, we should always be ready to have answers about our faith. And I believe they call that, I think it's 1 Peter 3:16, 3:15, somewhere in there. But it's called the call of the apologist, but it's something that's actually just goes hand in hand with walking in faith in general, so that when people have questions about why would you believe in this, harebrained scheme that there's a mythical creature that's up there that we can't even see it, you can't find it, you can't prove its existence. So there's so many things that cause doubts. Mm-hmm. And you're sitting here saying, I just want to know enough to be able to answer all of that. And that's beautiful. That's a solid rock to build your foundation on. I think that's absolutely amazing. Okay, so how about moving forward here? Have you guys got any really fun plans of like, hey, cool, we got this in the works? I mean, with the kid, you've probably changed a lot of plans here.
Yeah, we just found out like a month ago. So that's kind of been on our minds a lot. But What else would you say?
Not much. Not.
Play it day by day.
Okay, so how about your guys' kind of personal interests here? So you said you guys were going to college for a little bit. Taylor, what was your focus that you were trying to kind of lock in on for your college studies?
Animal science and biotechnology.
Oh, very cool. So you're going to go more by like veterinarian science kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you got love. I love to eat animals. I don't know if I could take care of them.
Me too.
But I got a dog. I mean, that's about it. Okay, cool. Now that's a lot of schooling though. So are you going to lean more towards like livestock, or are you leaning more towards like the more domesticated animals, like the pets and the dogs and the fish and stuff?
So I'm going to finish my 4 years. So I have one more semester or 2 more semesters left, and then we'll be focusing on social media. We feel that pulling us that way. So
okay,
focusing on that.
Very cool. And are you going to kind of obviously with enough knowledge there, is there going to be a lot of pets involved in the house then as things grow?
More than likely, I've had a dog, so we're going to wait for the baby to probably get a little, like 2 or 3 or so, and then get a small dog.
Oh, very cool. What's funny is I love Sophia's. She was saying yes before you had the chance to even. Okay, she's like, yes, I want animals. Yes.
I just want like a couple puppies or something. So.
Well, you know they grow. They don't stay puppies.
I know. Well, I want it. Yeah, some big. Like I like golden retrievers. Those are like cute big dogs.
Oh yeah. Yeah, very cool. Okay, well, Sophia, what about before YouTube came along? You said you kind of were leaning towards always wanted to be like the stay-at-home mom and do the family thing. Okay, so with that goal in mind, what have you been kind of doing to kind of prep for that? Because that's a whole world I don't know. My wife keeps an amazing house, and I don't know how she does it.
I know. Out of all like the friends I've ever had, I was always the one who was like, yeah, I was kind of confused on what to do. I was like, I mean, do I just go work like a day job until I get married? And because I didn't want to go to school for all these years just to stop right when we had kids, because I knew I just wanted to, we're probably going to have a lot of kids. So I was like, I'm not going to go to school for a long time and do all this work just to quit and be a mom. So, I've just been we met at a young age and kind of knew we were going to get married. So that kind of helped. I was like, okay, well, I know kids will be coming soon. But besides that, I was like, I'll just work some small jobs. I was like working as a hairstylist. I was like, this will be something good to keep me busy until then. And then social media was really like, that was always something ever since I was younger. I was like, that would be the ultimate goal. So when that happened, I mean, it was just it was so exciting. So
that's awesome. What a blessing for both of you guys. Okay, so in the context then of hairdressing, there's something there, obviously. So how'd you get into hairdressing, or do you still do hair? When they're in the chair, what kind of conversations do you have? Go ahead and elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, did I tell you the other day? I was like, I had a lot of fun doing it. So it was actually kind of a thing. I was like, I'll do this until maybe even we have kids. Like I could do it while we're married, and even I could do it super part-time because it's not something, you make your own schedule kind of. So I was like, this is a job that I could easily do even as a mom or something. And so that was just something I kind of had that I thought would be fun. And so when I started it, I really enjoyed it. It's fun. You get to talk to people all day, just wash their hair and have conversations. So I really enjoyed it. And it was just kind of something I always had the idea to do. And it was pretty easy to get started. So I was doing like an apprenticeship, and it was going to take about a little under 2 years until I would have been like fully licensed to do it on my own. I was kind of working under someone. But like halfway through that is when social media started and I stopped. So I could always just go back and do it. But social media just kind of took over everything
That's awesome. Okay. And then you guys kind of had your debut to say, the video that kind of launched you guys and got you moving, that happened during COVID time, right?
Was that that was,
or was that before?
It would have been the end of COVID.
Yeah, it was towards the end actually.
Our first video ever was June 24th of 2022.
22. Okay, yeah. So right at, I guess it's almost towards the end of the lockdown then, huh? Yeah.
It was super towards the end.
So in a way, were you using the videos then to kind of keep your sanity while you're stuck at home? I mean,
I try to remember. I'm like, I don't even know. It was such a random start. Yeah. Like it was a video. We were at Sonic and we ordered drinks, and I always watched a lot of TikToks, and I was like, these videos are so funny that I'm seeing. I have to do it to Taylor and see his reaction. So it was just so random. I just decided to film it that day, and then I was like, well, I'm going to post it. Wouldn't hurt. And then it just took off. It all just happened so fast. We actually, right when we started, we would document things because we were like, this is all happening so fast. We want to look back on it and just see how everything played out. And we have it in like a book somewhere, and we want to go find it because we kind of stopped. But we were like documenting everything at the beginning. So it'd be fun to go back and look at it and just see what all was happening every day.
Yeah, it'd be cool. A journal yeah. of how everything kind of got started. That's pretty fun. Yeah. Okay. Well, because it's always, they always say hindsight's 20/20. And so whenever we look back on these events, it makes total sense. But when you're doing it, you don't have a clue what you're doing or how it's supposed to unravel. So, okay. Very cool. So what about your friends? And, you guys obviously still have some good family ties. And I'm assuming the family's in Georgia too, right?
Yep.
So you guys you're still in the middle of it. So now that you've got a platform and people are starting to kind of know who you are and get to hear some of your stories, what's the changed as far as how you interact with family, friends, anything like that? Is there any changes there, or have you guys seen a humility kind of take the center stage of it?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say like we act different or like there's any type of different relationships or anything like that. Our circle has always been extremely small. Me and Soph used to joke all the time that we were each other's friends.
Yeah.
So,
What else?
so we could probably count on one hand our close friends. So nothing.
And everyone
Yeah.
was like supportive. I know some people, like family at least, isn't too supportive of like social media, or I guess whenever
They don't understand.
Yeah, they don't understand too much sometimes, but our family was super excited about it. It was just as exciting to them, I feel like, to watch it all happen, like from the start and everything. And our friends,
same way.
Yeah, same way.
Excellent. Very cool. Okay. Well, what about now you want to be YouTubers, and you already are, whether you like it or not, you've already hit that stage. So now what is it that you guys see as far as your future and your vision? What's the goal as you move forward, trying to take your platform and see how, what is it that the primary focus behind what you guys want to do then?
Yeah, our primary focus has always been to tell more people about Jesus and, use our platforms to share that message, whether it's coming out completely and just saying, okay, this is the gospel and this is why you should love Jesus, this is why you should accept Jesus in your heart, or it's just seeing, oh wow, they act different, or he treats her different, or just being a different type of light in the world other than what's being portrayed in other places on social media. So we just want to bring attention to Jesus and share the gospel with people. So that's our main goal. And if our platforms grow in the meantime, then that's a plus.
That's gorgeous. Yeah, if it's not me, it's him who lives through me. Yes, I love it. Okay. Well, Sophia, you were the bug. I mean, obviously the reason you guys are doing this is let's call it out for what it is. It's your fault. You did this to him. So, okay. So with that in mind, now that you've kind of got the YouTube, and the social media and everything kind of rolling here, as you're continuing to develop new content, what is it you're feeling like your biggest excitement? Like, what's the most that's got you kind of buzzed about continuing to move forward?
I mean, I feel like we've made so many like friends and relationships, and it's just like the messages that we get on the daily, like obviously there's some bad ones, but for the most part it's good. And just like reading them and hearing like the impact, like just even a silly video has on someone, is just like makes you so happy and just makes you want to keep doing it. And I would say that's the main thing. I just love hearing people's what they have to say, and just the relationships we've built and the friends we've made and all of that gets me so excited.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love too is you guys focus so much on spreading the gospel and planting the seeds. Basically, it's just really cool to hear that what you're getting as a reward is just seeing what God's doing with it. So it's not even about necessarily what you're gaining. It's just about God told us to do this, we're doing it, and then it's working. And seeing that works is its own reward. That's beautiful. That's in a way, you guys are almost emulating exactly what the whole Great Commission is. That's the point. We're not supposed to go out and hoard Jesus for ourselves. We're supposed to share him. And when we think about the world as a whole, there's always something to divide us. There's always something that's divisive. And I love that you guys are, especially with your videos, it's not that you, a good way to say it, I'm trying to put this in words because I've seen some of you guys' stuff and I love how you do it. It's not that you don't acknowledge that those things exist. You just choose to ignore it and move forward.
Yeah.
It's like, got it. There's hate out there. Got it.
Yeah.
Let's have fun.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I love that you guys do that. It's so heartwarming. And I think that's probably a good portion of where some of these, like you just talked about, those little silly little videos, for somebody who's having the absolute worst day and that just happens to come across their feed, next thing you know, they stop and giggle and everything. Think about what you just did. You took somebody who was in a completely emotional, distraught state, and all you did was give them a little bit of moment of happiness. What's the worst thing? How is that anything but good?
Yeah.
I mean, it's gorgeous. I love it. Okay. Well, so let me ask then, as you guys are getting ready to move forward here, are you guys going to kind of maybe, are you staying focused on your platform together, or are you guys going to maybe start doing, I'll do some of my stuff, he'll do some of his stuff, we'll do stuff together? Are you going to like turn this into a grand scheme, or have you guys even thought that far ahead with it? Or are you just saying, hey, you know what, this is cool, let's see what happens?
Yeah, so I think as far as like our TikTok, a lot of the people are there for like the couple stuff. But we've been just growing on our Instagrams, and those are separate. And so I'll do a lot more, things, get ready with me, things just on my own. And then he does kind of things on his own on his Instagram. We also do things together, but that's kind of where we can do our different things. And then YouTube, it's mostly together. Every now and then we'll kind of do something separate, but it's mostly together. So yeah, that's kind of just the plan for now.
I love it. No, you guys have, you kind of already said it anyways. The whole concept is you guys have used the tools that are already available to be able to have not only the content as it grows for yourselves, but then also share your personal journeys as well. That's just so powerful. So with the power being in testimony, did you guys come up with any fun stories about where God kind of showed up and you're just like, oh my gosh, that's a God moment. Like you just got to call it out. Maybe it was something individually, maybe it was something together.
So we've shared it on our social medias before. We obviously don't talk about it all the time because there's no need, but we have shared it just because we want to be like open with everyone. And I know one thing, like the reason we have been so open about it is because me growing up, I've watched couples and I've looked up to them. I'm like, wow, they're perfect. Like I want this in a relationship. And one thing we've wanted to make sure we say is like, we obviously aren't going to sit there and show the bad, or this arguments or things like that on social media, but we want people to know like we aren't perfect and things like that. And so that's what made us share. But
because if we were perfect, then there wouldn't really be a need for Jesus. If everyone was just perfect, and that's not the case. We live in a broken world. And so we broke up for a period of time, a very, not very long period of time. And the Lord thankfully brought us back together and moved through that whole thing where that was a part of my life where I wasn't that close with the Lord. I was still trying to figure out my identity in Christ. While Sophia knew her identity in Christ. So the Lord just moved in both of us and showed us a lot of things in that short period of time, what we needed to know. And then once we came back together, it was stronger than ever. And the Lord was completely our foundation. There was no crack. There was no anything. And we felt like we could take on the world. So
it was a big change.
It was a big change. But I would say that's a good example of how Christ moved miraculously in our lives.
That's beautiful. So he got you guys through basically a hard season where in your own thought process is basically this is done. Like we're enough. I'm not putting up. I hate to say it, but a lot of relationships go through that. But yeah, it's great that you guys found your way back. But what's cool is that you found your way back through him as opposed to just trying to make things work. That's one thing I've always seen that a lot of people try to do is they just try to make stuff happen. And if it's not in line with what's supposed to happen, then it becomes a conflict. So we got to really do some self-evaluation to figure out if we're moving on his path and his line, or if we're trying to do things our own way. And so whether that be individual or couples, the same truth still applies. If he's God, then he's God. He's in charge. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, well, how about then, as you guys are working towards obviously building the new foundation for family and everything else, let's go back to the church family that you grew up in church. So whose church do we go to now? Do you guys go to Sophia's or Taylor's, or did you guys go to the same church?
We go to mine, mainly in where I go to college, is where I'd say we're most involved, and I interned there for a while. So we're pretty involved there.
Oh, very cool. Do you guys do a lot of volunteering as well for any kind of events that are happening and things like that?
Yeah, I was doing, now I'm not because school is out, but I was doing like youth discipleship groups once a week. So I did that, and then a bunch of different things, helping the elderly and things. It was just different events like that. So
very cool. Yes, live out your faith. You'll know them by their works. So awesome. Okay. Well, guys, I want to make sure we honor your time, and I want to thank you so much for coming along. As we get ready to roll into the event, July 26th, it's going to be at South Point in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're going to be there all day. I'll be hanging out with each panelist, individually as we do the panels. So I won't get to see you guys for a good portion of it, but there's going to be a lot of things going on. I know there's going to be meet and greets going on. There's going to be family and friends coming to town. So this is going to be probably a really fun event, not just for the people showing up, but for you guys too. So as this happens though, one of the questions I've been trying to kind of gauge here for us on the audience side, for those of us who aren't on the panels, we obviously have a goal of just kind of learning your testimony and getting to learn more about how God's worked in your life and inspire those of us who, we want to see things like that occur and see how we can grow in our own faith. But for you guys who are sitting on the panel looking out, what would be a success? What is it that made this worthwhile that you're like, what, that was totally a God thing and we're very glad that we contributed?
Yeah, I would just say people either coming in there not knowing Christ and being able to see Christ in us or some of the other influencers or the moderators or whatever, just anyone in there, just seeing Christ in their life and realizing that Christ is the truth, the life, and the only way. So I would say that's a success, even if it's only one person.
Beautiful. Sophia, what would you say is something for you?
I was going to say that.
Oh, he stole yours?
I mean, that would give me just chills. Someone coming in and not knowing Christ and then leaving and knowing Christ. Where are we at?
Oh, that's beautiful.
But yeah, I don't know, even if they message us afterwards and have more questions, because people do that all the time and are messaging us and having questions. And I know I always try to answer them, and I just hope we can give people a better understanding.
Oh, beautiful. Yes, I know that, in fact, one of the things that's going to happen, there's going to be live music, but we are on site going to have some pastors, counselors. If for some reason somebody shows up and they might not necessarily, I forget how he put it, but the coordinator, Brian, he said that if someone's lukewarm, we want them to leave boiling hot. If someone comes in not knowing God at all, we want them to leave on fire for the Lord. I mean, it was his goal is just one thing. It's just one thing only, introduce people to Christ. And you guys, that's your whole platform. So thank you again for helping with it. It's gorgeous. I love the way that you guys share your faith, the way that you guys share your life. Do you have any parting words for anybody as we're getting ready to close this out?
We're excited, and we're excited for what the Lord's going to do, and we've been praying about it, and we're going to continue.
Can't wait.
God bless. Okay, well, we'll see you guys on the 26th. Thanks, everyone else, for watching. We'll see you guys soon. God bless.
Yeah.